Welcome. In this training video, we're going to cover Office 365 Webmail. I have 10 different tips and features that I'm going to walk you through, so let's jump right in. Number one, the first thing we have to know about Webmail is how do we access it. As you can see up in the URL bar, login.microsoftonline.com, that's one way. A shorter way is portal.office.com. Both will take you to the exact same place and let you sign in to your Microsoft 365 webmail environment. So I'm going to go ahead and sign in here. Sometimes it asks me if I'd like to stay signed in, just so I don't have to continuously sign in each time throughout the day. I'm going to say no here. Now, once I get into my portal, yours will look very similar to mine. And as a user, I can see right at the top of my screen, here are all the different things that I have access to, okay? Outlook is my webmail. I also have access to my OneDrive environment. This is Office Online, Word, Excel, PowerPoint, OneNote, okay? And we have some other collaborative tools as well. If I have the license to install Office, I can do so right from here. Click Install Office, it will walk you through the process. Okay? And finally, on the very top left of the screen, we call this the Brady Bunch cube. This is another way to access all of the things that are available to you, very similar to the things that were listed on the screen. So, first thing you have to know is, how do I get into Webmail? Here it is, my Outlook button. Okay, number two. The second thing I'd like to talk about is the rich interface that Microsoft is giving us here in a web page. Remember, we're on a web page, and we can do things that's not normally available on a web page. For example, I can right-click. So for example, here, if I click on this email from Tom, and if I right-click, I get a pop-up message window of all the things that I can do: forward, delete, pin it, flag it, mark it as junk. This is unique on a web page. This isn't normal activity on a web page. So that kind of rich interface helps the usability of this. The second thing we can do is we have the ability to do drag and drop. So for example, notice on my left navigation, first I'm going to right click on my inbox. I'm going to create a new subfolder. Okay, my new subfolder that I'm going to create, I'm just going to call it Tom. And then I can take this Tom message, click, drag, drop, and put it right here in my new Tom folder, and there it is. So that kind of, again, rich interface, very unique and good for usability. Okay, number three, the third thing I want to talk about are filters and sorts. Okay, filters, just what it sounds like. You want to filter your mail down to a subset of information, whereas sorts keeps all the mail there and just presents it in a different order. Okay, unlike the Outlook client, okay, if you remember when we looked at the Outlook client, we have all types of great ways to click and sort and filter through the Outlook client. We see all of these columns. It's one of the reasons why we love the Outlook client. That said, in Webmail, we don't get all of those columns. Instead, we get this filter button right here. So when I click on filter, you can see I am filtering and showing all mail. If I just wanted to see my unread, click one time, these are all of my unread messages. If I click unread, that filter goes away and I'm back to everything. So using this little drop-down menu here, very helpful just for sorting and finding the mail that you need. Now, sort options down here, I think most people just want to see chronological. So I'm always defaulted to sort by date. But if I wanted to sort by these other parameters, I can choose and do so. Okay, that's sort and filter. Good way, just be aware of this button. A lot of people just never find it, don't know that it exists, and just kind of look over it. So I find it very useful, in particular the filter options. Okay, number four, the focused inbox. We've talked about this in a previous training session on the Outlook client. It works the same way in Webmail. So my advice is usually to turn it off. Now notice when I go to my filter option, at the bottom I have show focused inbox. That means that it's not currently turned on. I'm going to turn mine on and show you what it looks like. Clicking, it's turned on. all that's happened here is I now have two options, one called focused, one called other. Microsoft is putting all of my email in the focused section, things that look important, things that were sent directly to me. Okay, they use some intelligence to decide what goes here. But I also have this other button where it put this piece. This isn't junk mail. This is just a notification that I received from Microsoft about my system. So again, is it important? That's debatable. But Microsoft's making a decision here. So when it comes to focused inbox, there are some people that prefer it and like it. I would say most people choose not to enable it. So I'm going to go ahead and uncheck my focused inbox. Okay, next up, replying to a message. This is something that everyone does every day, and I'm sure that if you just explore, you would figure it out. Okay, replying to email, this isn't difficult, but there are so many different ways to reply to something. So here's my message from Tom. I could right-click it and reply here. If I don't like that option, I could choose reply up here. Okay, and these choices that I'm making, sometimes it will pop open a new window and sometimes it won't. I want you to be aware of that because this is a time saver. Okay, I replied up in the window here and notice that I'm now split screen. I don't have another window open. Let me show you the difference. Another way I could reply to this is double click on Tom's message. It pops open a new window. I can reply from here. Now you'll notice I've got multiple windows open. So at the end of my day, sometimes I have 10 or 20 windows still open that I have to deal with. My advice and my recommendation here is, if you have an email and you just want to do a quick response, if you use the options here, okay, I'll reply here. Split screen, no new pop-ups, and I can send a quick message, type in, yes, I'll be there. Click send, no new windows. Now, if I really want to pop this out into a second pop-up window, I can do it. This little button here will bring it into its own unique window. This little feature also happens to be inside of the Outlook client. So notice here, I'm just, again, switching over to my Outlook client. If I use this set of reply all, and forward, same concept. I'm in the client. I'm not popping new windows. So again, a lot of these tips that I'm showing exist across multiple environments. Okay, number 6. The next topic I want to cover are flags and pins. These are two features that exist here in Webmail. The first one, red flags, you'll notice when I hover over emails, I get this little icon bar. I can delete, I can mark it as unread if I like, I can make it a flag, or I can pin it. These are the two I want to talk about. When you flag something, I'll click it here. I clicked it, I turned on a flag. Notice what happened there? I have a yellow background so it stands out. It's something that I need to deal with. So again, it's a nice visual indicator of something that has to happen. Now when I look at my task list down here, you'll notice that all of my flags show up in one place here if I want to see them that way. In order to complete a task, complete a flag, I can click it one time and it will mark as done. It's now a green check, no longer a flag, and no longer will it be highlighted here because it's resolved. So that's flags. Very simple. It's a good way to keep track of things that you still have to deal with. Now pins are a little bit different, the push pins. So here's my email, and let's say I've scrolled down a little bit and I've got an email here from Tom that I see. This is important, and I don't want this to just get lost, and I don't want to flag it because I don't want to forget about it. Okay, now if I click a push pin, it's going to take this message and relocate it at the very top of my list. So I just clicked it, it sees one item pinned. I'm still down near the bottom of my email, but if I scroll to the very top, here it is. Tom's message will exist and stay right here at the very top of my email until I unpin it, or I could even right click and choose to unpin. It knows that it's pinned, so it's giving me the option to unpin it right here. Again, pins and flags, these are designed just to help you stay on top of things that you have to deal with. I use both. I find both helpful, and I obviously recommend that you explore it and see if it works for you. Number 7, archive and sweep. These are interesting buttons that will relocate and move your mail and take action on your mailbox. So here they are. Right at the top of my screen, you'll notice I've got archive and sweep. Now, the thing to know about archive is take a look at my left navigation. Here's some favorites folders. If I don't like favorites, I'll just collapse that. I've got a folder here called archive, and it is currently blank. Now, if I want to start using my archive folder, all I have to do at any point is I can, well, let's say I'll take this email from Colin. If I want to archive this, I can just, with it highlighted, click archive. One click, it's done, it's actionable, it actually did it. It moved it here to my archive. So again, know that when you click archive, something happens. And if I don't want it in the archive, click drag drop. Now it's back in my inbox. So let me go back to my inbox. Archive's easy to understand. Let's talk about sweep. Sweep is a little bit different. Again, I'm going to highlight an email from Colin. And when I look at sweep, sweep is similar to mail flow rules. So I'm going to click sweep, and I'm going to get some choices. It says, oh, okay, you have an email from Colin highlighted. Do you mean to delete all the messages in your inbox from Colin? Or do you want to archive all those messages? Okay. Do you want to delete all messages from your inbox folder and any future messages from Colin? Okay. This is and any future messages. So an ongoing sweep rule. So again, a lot of people like creating rules and creating subfolders and actions and really keeping a very clean inbox. Sweep is the way where you can create these types of rules to do just that. And again, if you want to see all the rules you've created and controlled at that level, you always have this option to view your rules. Number 8, out of office. At some point, you're going to be out of office, hopefully taking a great vacation. The way you get to your out of office here in Webmail, you'll notice we don't have like a file and options the way that we do in the Outlook client. So all those types of options and features and settings, they're up here in the gear icon. So when I go to my gear icon, here the very first choice, automatic replies. I'll open it up just so you can get a look. It works and behaves just like the Outlook client. I can turn it on. I can choose to timestamp it so I don't forget to turn it off if I don't want to. Okay, I can block my calendar. Now, I also have 2 types. Notice this one says send a reply once to each sender inside my organization, and I have a different message for the people outside my organization. Okay, you always have to remember to set both. Oftentimes people forget to set the second one and only set one. So when you're setting this, just remember, make sure you set it for both an inside message and out. A lot of people just use the same message, copy and paste it, and that's fine. Number 9, let's have fun. Themes. Okay, a lot of people like exploring the themes just to personalize the environment here a little bit. When I go to my gear icon, you'll notice that I've got a theme called medium dark blue. Not very exciting. Okay. But when we look at themes, you'll notice we just have some fun choices here. If you want to turn it into crayons or possibly robots, here's one for Legos, okay? And my personal favorite, the whale chasing the boat, okay? Just gives a little bit of personality, I guess you could say, to your webmail environment. Me, I'm going back to boring blue. Okay, last thing to cover, number 10 in Webmail. I want to just give you a sneak peek behind the scenes of the settings and things that you have the ability to control in your Webmail environment. Okay, and again, we have to go back to our gear icon. Here it is. We have to scroll all the way to the very bottom where Microsoft hides the good stuff here. Okay, not Office 365. I want you to go into Mail settings, because this is going to be very similar to what you see in the Outlook client. Now notice here, I'll expand out my general settings. I have a ton of options and things that I can configure here from this options and settings section. I'm just going to point out a few. Here you go. Inbox and sweep rules. We talked about those. If you want to see those, you can do it here. If you want to see information about junk mail, okay? If you want to set up read receipts, I don't recommend it, but those are things you can do here. Now, down here in layout, probably the most important thing I want to make sure you see, your email signature. Your webmail has its own unique email signature. So if you're using your phone and an Outlook client and webmail, 3 different ways to get to your mail, you have 3 different places to set up a signature. So first-time users of webmail, I always recommend come in here, click the gear icon, go to your email signature, create a signature, and make sure you check the boxes that say, hey, let's actually use it, right? Let's automatically include it right here. All right, focused inbox. Again, you can turn it on or turn it off. I'll show you what this looks like. Do you want focused inbox or do you not want it? Yeah, I don't want it. Okay. Calendar options here at the very bottom. Again, I'm really digging deep. If you want to see the weather on top of your webmail calendaring, click weather and turn it on. It should be on by default, actually. Okay. So that's it for this training session. That's 10 tips on Office 365 webmail. I hope you enjoyed it.